Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you on this Daily Hindu Analysis video in the morning. These videos come in the evening, the MCQ lessons they come, and 30-minute lesson is there in the morning and 15-minute lesson is there in the evening. So both the lessons you need to follow, and current affairs robust preparation is there in front of you, and this compilation is very important, and these details you must understand to develop your analytical skills that will be useful in mains and prelims and interview, all three stages. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. Description you will get on below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and you can visit the website also where these chat section is available. PDF you will get here on this Facebook group, and Telegram channels link you will also find there, and you can follow me on Instagram too, and this is the link for Telegram channel. First article important for GS paper 2 and 3 both. It's a article using very harsh word. Jayanti Ghosh is talking about the economic situation of this country, and she says that whatever advertisement, whatever agendas we had in the mainstream news media houses, that is now coming to a different story because things are apparently problematic here, and the decision which is taken regarding the RBI reserve, that is a clear indication that economy is in deep trouble, and already many issues are there in front of us, like the questions were there regarding the resignation of members of NSC, employment data problems, and then the GDP numbers questions which were raised, and then automobile industry that has seen all-time low sales that is these are going on, and FMCG sector, the fast-moving consumer goods sector. Whenever the economic distress that comes into economy, then it affects some typical businesses in the starting, then it moves towards the more common issues, like in the starting the luxury item sales, they are dropped. So automobile sector means the car sales and all, they were going down for many months. This issue has been going on, and now this is the situation. It's an existential threat on the automobile industry, and the all-time sales situation, all-time low sales situation is going on. Now the situation has reached up to FMCG sector. FMCG is something that we basically need on a daily basis, means the soap, the vegetables, the food items, dairy products, everything which are fast moving consumer goods. Okay, their sales, they are observing a big decline there. Comparatively, there is a big difference. So that means we are at a stage where economy is really struggling a lot, and the expenditure side is also stuck, and that's why they are not able to provide jobs. Even the government jobs, we do not have to talk about that situation. That is already in the docks, and the situation of the private job sector, that is also facing a lot of struggles. A lot of job cuts are happening, and employees they are getting relieved there, and we have seen the example of automobile industry. Now the Parle product, the Parle biscuits, we all know about that. Poorest of the poor person used Parle biscuits, but now after the GST implementation, that is also hit, and around 10% employees, they are going to lay off now. So this problem is very apparent, and for a longer period of time, they won't be able to hide it, they won't be able to deny it. That's the clear situation. So the Kashmir situation is going on. All these problems which are demanding nationalistic favors and all, these are going on. But now when the question is there on the economic front, and the everyday life is affected for the common people, then all people will be concerned about their own life. That's for sure, and this situation will be uncontrollable very soon if the steps are not taken. Now, whatever steps which are taken, whatever announcements which are there, whatever things which are going on in the economy, that is under attack by the writer here. She says that FMCG sector, which is always a big support, and domestic consumption is dependent on this sector, where it grew at only 10% in the April-June quarter. That's a problematic situation, and economists with the government now officially they are recognizing that the problem is there, and now first they denied it, now they say that it's a problem there, but it is inherited from the past governments, and that is apparently preventing the investments because no one trusts anyone else. So now the blame is shifted towards the previous governments, and they forgot that previous government was of their own. Previous to previous government was someone else. So they are blaming the past governments there, and they say that it is all that they have done. It is not our fault, and we are just going with all the troubles, and we are struggling. We are taking those decisions. But at least they have recognized the problem. That problem is there. Apparently, they cannot deny it. Now, medium-term trajectory in which the fruits of growth went disproportionately to a small elite of big capital and rich individuals. For sure, the inequality is apparent in India. 1% people having more than 55% of the wealth. That is a clear symbol that how our country has been running. And rich class, and now a very limited corporate houses and some rich classes, they are having the fruits of the growth, because according to the official reports, growth is happening. But where is the impact? There is a situation of jobless growth, and mass consumption is also declining. The overall demand in the market is not there. Even the domestic consumption is going towards a big problem. So who is getting these fruits? So only a limited rich class is getting these advantages here. And we know for the mass consumption issue, this is because of the low demand there, and the supply side is also stuck. Credit is not available to the companies after the collapse of ILFS. The non-banks, means the non-banking financial institutions, they are facing the biggest type of problem, and there is an existential threat on their head. That's for sure. Now, about the unemployment, writer says that whatever steps are announced by the finance minister, these are supply side issues, and they are not going to take care about the demand situation, and we need demand here. Already we have put a blame on the world growth that uncertainties are going on, that's why we are affected. But it is also a fact that even in the harshest times of the world economy during 2008 recession, we were mainly unaffected, and majorly we were running as smooth as it could be, and that was not a huge problem for the Indian banking industry. But Indian banking industry is facing the hardest time in the present, and now the distress is rising in the economy. Then more companies will fail, means more NPAs they will have in the future. So that's why it's again an existential threat on the banks. Now they have announced the 110 rate cuts since February. 5.40 is the current repo rate. That's a huge discount there, but this is not propagated to the consumers. That's the problem, because already banks are struggling a lot. They want to fill their own gaps, and the NPA situation is the worst situation there, and that's why they are not able to come down from 9%, means less than 9%. They are not able to give loans to anybody, whether these are car loans or house loans or something like that. So that's a problem, means whatever monetary policy is deciding, that is not reaching up to the consumers, and that's why you will say that the banks are getting advantage here, but consumers are not. And banks are not even getting advantage. They are just fulfilling their own gaps, and the NPA situation that has caused a lot of difficulties for these banks, that is somehow bridged there. So the issue with the consumers who create demand, that is not getting any benefit. So automobile sector will also not get any huge benefit here, because the interest rates are not coming down heavily by the banks. RBI is going down, but the banks are not. So ultimately, houses and automobile sector, they will not get any big boost there. And problems with the startups are also going on. When normal commercial businesses, they are not getting any credit, then who is going to give loans to startups? Who is going to trust them? Already the government says that nobody trusts anyone else. So startups are finding it most difficult to get any finances there. So that's why it's a problematic situation. And when they started Startup India, Stand Up India, all these programs, the fruits are not visible there. Only some of them are existing. Most of them are closed down after these 4 years. So government, according to the writer, kept assuming or hoping that using optical measures like manipulating the methodologies of ease of doing business and anyhow getting the ranking there once in a year there, and trying to get more foreign capital to attract more investment. Now they have made changes in the taxation system of the FPIs and all. So these things are not fundamental, and they are not going to bring bigger changes according to the writer. And even whatever steps those were taken, like the manipulation in the methodologies and all, those are exposed now. Like they could not do anything huge, and the economy certainly went for a crisis like situation today. So they could not control the negative impulses there. So first there were impulses, now there are clear apparent consequences. Okay, so private investors are struggling. They are demanding more and more fiscal and regulatory concessions. Why? Because $5 trillion economy goal, that is totally based on the private expenditure. Now, according to the finance minister in her budget speech, she said that private expenditure will be coming now, and all the stakes are there on them. Government has raised their hands that we are not capable of doing this much expenditure, and they are not even able to collect the required taxes there. So there are a lot of shortfalls, and they are struggling with that, and that's why some oppressive tax collection methods were reported, like the suicide case of a CCD owner. So these are some problematic issues. Means how the private investment will be coming. Many issues are going on. That means how we are going to fulfill our dreams of these $5 trillion economies and all. And the dream is shown to us in those times where apparent problems are going on, and those are not being addressed efficiently. Here the writer says that they are only addressing the supply side approach, and the bigger problem is there with the demand side approach. Means the demand is not there. We need to create demand, and where there is a crisis of the employment, then there cannot be any demand, because people do not have any disposable income. They are not going to market. They are just existing there, and most of the population, that is poor population, that is just being hand to mouth there, and they are not doing any extra expenditure there. So that's why the demand is stuck, and when the demand is stuck, then the supply is already stuck. And some people say that now the problems of the investment are not there, but actually the real situation is that demand is so low that the supply is not even needed, and that's why when supply is also not needed, then why they will go for some expenditure demands and some tax concessions or something like that. Only in some basic and required businesses the demand is there, a low demand is there, and the low supply is going on, and for that they are struggling a lot. So this is whole a very negative scenario. This article talks about a very negative situation. If it is really true, then seriously we are heading towards a big crisis, and more we are there in this phase, bigger effort we will need to come out of it, and they will surely need some huge steps, and those will have its own consequences. So that's why it's a really a huge problem. Okay, and the interest rate propagation to the consumers, that is again going towards a huge problem, because banks are not able to give these loans on lower interest rates, because their operational cost is very high for these funds and assets, and they cannot give for a lower interest rates. Although the finance minister has assured that in some businesses, in some cases, banks will give repo rate linked loans, but that will not be possible. It looks like that because the NPA situation is rising, and more and more companies are going with this condition that they are not able to repay these loans. So it's a horrible situation. If it is really true, then certainly we are being lied, and we are being diverted in some other issues like the situation of Kashmir that is going on. The media is discussing all those issues. Pakistan, Imran Khan, all these issues are going on, and they are not addressing the real situation there. Where we need discussions, those are not going on. So that looks like some previous reports, what they were indicating, what Raghuram Rajan, Aviral Acharya, Urjit Patel, where they were indicating, those problems are apparent now. All those people resigned because of some resistance, and problems are going on since the demonetization decision there. So that is all. And some suggestions, writer says that rural focus is not there. They are not talking about the agrarian crisis. They are not talking about the rural situation, and not even the budget, not even after the budget phase, they discuss the agrarian crisis or the rural crisis there. That is way more huge. And here writer says that social spending is must, and the schemes like Narega, they need to give more and more funds to it, so that some employment generation will be there and multiplier impact will be there. Means you take care of one sector, and the related sectors will grow automatically, and they will create jobs, they will create opportunities, and some situation will turn into a positive situation. So some public investment, and they must be green, means they need to take care about the sustainable future too. So here they need to invest, they need to give more and more funds in Narega like schemes. Otherwise the basic raw material from where it is coming from the villages and the rural areas, that is already under stress, and that will surely devastate the whole economy there, because nobody is talking about the agrarian crisis today. Monsoon season is going on, but many issues are there, and those are the poorest people, and those are always hit hard, and always they are hit first. Whenever problems rise, then they are the first ones who are hit with this situation. So that's why they need to take care here. So solutions lie in the management of all these problems, like the inadequate tax collection, and budgetary discrepancies are also there. Whatever they said, whatever they gave as revised numbers and all, they are not fulfilled, and they are not the same which they gave in the interim budget, which they announced in the real budget this year. So there are discrepancies, and we need a lot of tricks in the economic cycle today. We need expansionary policies, but instead of that, they are going with a different trajectory. More and more reliance is there on the foreign investment that is already stuck, and when they are putting stakes on foreign investment, and here we see that the investment which was already there, that is flocking towards some other emerging economies because of many uncertainties regarding the India's economic situation. So that's a clearly bizarre situation, and what's going on we need to see, and two options: wait and watch, or push the government for take some steps there which are going to address the demand side situation. Next article is again the Kashmir situation. Today they are talking about the 144 section, which is a British era section in the IPC and the CRPC, and this is imposed in a situation where the authorities, they won't be able to allow 5 or more people to gather anywhere and they discuss something or they make any kind of plan. That is not allowed, and the communications are also blocked, and all kinds of restrictions which are there in a curfew, those are there, and emergency is not declared. The curfew officially is not declared, but the 144 imposition is going on, and the extension is being given from weeks to weeks. So this is almost 25 days now, and the situation is out of their hands, and they say that these things are controlled and normalcy is restored. Even they started talking about the normalcy even after 2-3 days, but still the schools are shut, and whenever they were open, the students are not coming to that. Means the situation is very much tensed, and they are not ready for a normalcy, and they do not know what's going to happen. And now officially it is accepted that they have used pellet guns there, and that is going to raise many questions there, because the governor accepted that pellet guns were used, and they were used below the waist. So many bodies are going to start questioning now. The human rights bodies are certainly going to hound the government officials and all, and how they are going to manage that is to be seen, because till now this was totally denied. And the situation of official acceptance of people who are jailed, that is also going to be a problem there, because the PSA Act, the Public Safety Act, that is used very, very indiscriminately according to some reports, and many people, they are in jails in JNK and out of JNK also. So that's all a problem. All the leaders in Kashmir, they are also locked down. So the situation is totally blocked, information is totally blocked, and it's a very bizarre situation when Prakash Javadekar, the minister, he said in some meeting there that the silence is the most problematic thing in the democracy. And here in the Kashmir situation, whatever we see, that is silence, and what is boiling under the pot, we do not know, and what kind of consequences we will see in the future, we do not know. But still they are very much stressed about the situation, both the people and the authorities. So that's why they are not coming to the normalcy, and the information is blocked. And on that situation, the writers are commenting here. So here, like yesterday, as I told you, you go through this article, it's in a simple language, and the main centered issue today is the 144 section. Yesterday it was 367, before that it was 356. So all the typical angles are being discussed on a daily basis. So you are getting the most detailed picture of the Kashmir situation, whatever is possible. Next, G7 summit, that was concluded in France, and when in an editorial we discussed that this message must be delivered to Mr. Trump, as Mr. Modi is going to be attending this summit, and it's a crucial summit. All the important leaders are going to be there, and we are not sure about the agendas there, what's going to happen. As the conclusion talks about the problems with the G7 summit this year, things were not perfect, many problems were there. The Amazon situation is going on, the Iran situation is going on, and the Trump's withdrawal from the Paris climate deal, these things are going on. So many differences are there between countries, but still we managed to convey this message to the US president there, that Kashmir situation is in our hands, that is our control there, and we can manage this issue bilaterally. There is no need of mediation there, we are all capable to tackle the situation there. So that was very much necessary, because the president was making many remarks there, and many issues and concerns were raised against the governments working there. So this is the internal matter. That message is well conveyed to the to the president of United States. So that's the case. And as a next step, USTR Robert Lighthizer and the Commerce Minister from India, Piyush Goyal, they are going to meet ahead of the Modi visit to US in September. So things will improve here. All the suspicions of the mediation and all these things are going on, although Mr. President, the US President, he is well informed of this situation because of the involvement from both the countries. So in a way, the indirect mediation is going on, because every time he is delivering messages there, every time he is involved there, interfering there, and he's saying that I have talked to both the countries and all, and some good news will be coming. And every issue we had some intervention by the American president there. So it is not Putin here, it is not the Chinese president here, it is the American president there, with whom we have all the talks. So that means some indirect mediation is going on, but officially we are denying that. So that's the case, and that's why this conveying of the message was very much important. Here many issues are going on. As I told you, some big articles are going to come on the Amazon issue, some articles are going to come on the cooperation which is lost between countries today, that will be coming soon, and the G7 turning into G8. That is a proposal, because Russia was removed from this group. Earlier it was the G8 group, and after the Crimea annexation 2014, it has become G7. But again, Russia cannot remain away from this group for a very longer period of time, because it's a huge nation. But today these countries are not ready for that inclusion, but some big article is certainly going to come on this issue, because a lot of issues are going on, and Trump's involvement in the international affairs, that has caused many problems, and in this group Russia is no more there. So it has its own consequences and impacts there. And 9 special invitees were there. We were among those countries, and you may say that when we talk about G7, these 7 countries plus Russia and next the number would come for us only, because we are the biggest country after that. So they all discussed the Paris Accord issue, where America decided to withdraw from that, and they needed to discuss this issue because challenges are in front of us. They decided about the climate change goal, they decided about the sustainable future there, but the Amazon fire that is going on, that is all against that, and nobody sincerely is talking about that. They are just tweeting about those things, but sincere steps are not being taken, and the cooperation is totally lost. Mr. Bolsonaro of Brazil, he said that French President Emmanuel Macron has insulted him, and we will not accept the financial package there given for the Amazon incident. So we will only accept that if that insult is taken back. So this is the issue where we see that cooperation is totally lost in this world. What is struggling a lot? Trade tariff issues are also there. Yesterday we discussed that Japan and South Korea they are having problems. Iran issue is going on. You see, Mr. Macron, the French president, he decided to invite Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif, but other members, they rejected any suggestion to include him in the conclave. So the consensus is nowhere seen, and that's the biggest problem today. So this article is very much important. If you are going to write the essay also, then the working of this kind of huge group is extremely important, that in which way they are cooperating, in which way they are deciding about the things, in which way they are getting involved there internationally. So these things are important. Okay, and obviously this is important for GS paper 2 there. Okay, next article, murder most foul. It's a social situation important with GS paper 1 and 2, honor killing. You know, scientific reports say India does not have the real genetic castes. So the real genealogy is not found in the caste. It's all a mixed up issue. It's only a social norm that we are following, and that is the most shameful thing for this country, you may say. In this 21st century, you just see that we are just dragging a particular tradition where somebody is labeled with its birth, and then the highest level of discrimination and the most inhumane thing that goes on, and in the most sensitive issue of the life, that is the marriage, choosing of the marital partner, where we see this apparent discrimination there. If a high caste girl is marrying to a low caste boy, then it is the most problematic thing for the society, and the couple may be killed there. That is the issue of honor killing there. So what is the honor there? And you see, in the progressive societies, in the liberalized societies, in the rich classes, we do not see this issue much. Okay, but the people who are mostly poor, who are mostly uneducated, who are mostly following those conservative terms of the life, and they are not achieving much in terms of knowledge and bigger thoughts, improved lifestyle, those people are talking about honor, and they are killing their boys and girls. Although some mistakes are certainly there, and some mistakes are rising by the teenagers. You see the 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age of kids, they are now very much expressive, using internet, social media and movies, and also these issues are certainly rising. Means the emotions are going hyper, and they are taking those kind of decisions there, and some things are really problematic. But you see, it is not only their mistake. I always say that till the 20 years of age, this is not the mistake totally of the boy or the girl. A lot of contributories are there, like the society is the biggest contributor, parents, the parenting, the schooling, all things are contributory. So if they are making any mistake, so it is not totally their mistake. They all need to be concerned about that, and that's why we see the struggle there. And the biggest problem today is why we are talking on this issue. When Supreme Court has said that there is no honor in honor killing, means it's a very sensitive issue, and the biggest problem is that these tendencies are rising. when the right-wing politics is rising, the conservatism in the society is rising, again we are trying to establish those norms of the society which were there 1,000 years back, then this is going to be the biggest problem here. When the issue of Dalits, the caste differences and the layering of the society, that issue is rising. You see on Facebook, you can evidently see this thing. The caste groupings are rising. There are groups which talk about special caste names. You must have seen that. You must have seen on vehicles that specific caste names are written there. You must have seen every time. So these things are most problematic, and more youth actually is using that. Means this problem is rising and the consequences are very dangerous. You must have seen on the motorcycles, on the cars, the word Brahman, Rajput, Jat, Gujar, these things are written, and they change their number plate issues in that way that they will try to show this this particular feudalistic mindset. And it's a clear case, it's a clear evidence that there are so-called low castes in our society and they will bear the consequences there. Means the fear is shown to those. That is a issue. So when these caste dominances and these caste divisions are rising in a 21st century where we are living in, so this will create a different struggle in the society. And obviously one society, one particular section, that is elite section and the upper middle class, that is moving towards a different kind of life, different kind of future, and most English speaking people, and totally on a different line. And here the India, the other part of India, which is local language speaking, where this conservatism is rising, more and more political issues are, so that is going backwards in a sense. Employment is a huge problem, economic problems are there, and the progress is not there in the life. So the frustrations are turning against each other, and the struggle is gonna rise a lot. And with the ways of the Arakshan and all these problems are going towards a very problematic future. And here the honor killing issue, whatever written in this article, that is all obvious and simple, but we need to talk about the background because that is important for the examination point of view. So the Kevin Joseph's example is given in South India, in Northern India, in regions of Haryana, Punjab, Tamil Nadu and Bengal, Odisha. Everywhere we see these kind of cases are rising because society is changing and more communication is there between boys and girls, but the mindset is not going to change for the upper generations. So this struggle is really problematic. People are living more in some egos, in some what we say, some false images of their own. They think that they are something very huge and they have a lot of honor and their honor will be disturbed. So these things are rising, and collectively society is supporting these kind of moves. In the case of UP, we have seen, although it was a immature decision by the boy and the girl, when they came in media and some issues were discussed, they were not talking about their career opportunities much, but more issues were turning against the families and all. So those were some unfortunate things. But you see, it was not 100% a problematic case. Bigger problems we saw on Facebook and WhatsApp and all these social media, where a lot of aggression was there against the girl, mainly the girl. So these are clear signs that the society is not improving anywhere, and we are actually going towards a worse condition there. So that's a biggest concern, and a lot of things are problematic today, and negativities we are observing more and more, where in the social front, in the economic front, in the security front, the negativities are rising. And that's why we all need to be concerned about that. We need to be more educated, we need to be more struggling, we need to be more aware about the democratic values and constitution mainly, and constitution must prevail. This is the ultimate suggestion here. So we will meet again tomorrow, and some small facts are left. We will cover them in the MCQ lesson. So thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani.